In this video, we're going to go over web orders. That includes setting your system up so you can do web orders, and also what to do when you happen to get a web order. It does not include how to optimize settings and systems so that you'll get more web orders, such as SEO. So first thing you have to do is log in as an administrator, and then you'll click Admin and go to Settings. Now there's actually a number of different things here that you want to do in Settings. First, make sure that your tax is set up for your web orders, and then also make sure you get your terms loaded. That really is a safety net for you, where if you have your return policies and your shipping terms and all of that in your web terms, it just acts as a little bit of a legal protection for you. Now both the terms and the tax are in other videos, so we're not going to cover them in depth today, but please feel free to watch those videos for the details on that. Now over here in the settings area, there is one setting that you want to make sure is set right, and that's enable checkout features. This is set by default unless you've asked us to turn off your checkout features at some point in the past. And so it should already be checked, but just double check and make sure that that is set. Payment options over here, this is what your customers are going to see as options for paying you. We integrate with PayPal and Authorize.net, and then we also have a module built in that allows you to do manual credit cards. So let me just kind of talk about each of those real quick. PayPal and Authorize.net are both online merchants that will charge you a transaction fee. PayPal requires that your end user have an account with them, and to be honest, a lot of people do nowadays. So if you wanted to set up PayPal, just set up a business account with them and then put your email in here that you register with them. And we have test mode checked because this is a test site, but you'll want to leave that unchecked. And then that will be an option for people to check out. PayPal can be used with both Authorize.net and the manual credit cards. Authorize.net, basically, they will also have a transaction fee. I believe they also have a gateway fee, which you pay monthly. And then once you have an account set up with them, you'll put in your API login ID and your transaction key, and then check which credit cards you want to accept. And it's pretty easy. Then you just make sure that this radio button is checked. Now, the manual credit cards here, you can see they can't be turned on at the same time as Authorize.net. The reason for that is because although it's very different on your end how things are done, it's about the same for the customer. With either Authorize.net or the manual credit cards, they're entering in their credit card information. You're just choosing what happens to that credit card information, whether it's processed through Authorize.net or you manually process it, and that's why you can't have both on at once. Again, you need to make sure to check the credit cards that you accept. Once the order comes in, you'll be able to log into Exolites and access that credit card information, and then you'll just manually key that into your showroom's credit card machine and avoid the transaction fees, but you'll still have whatever processing fees you normally have for the credit card. And let's go ahead and go on to shipping. Now with the shipping here, it's very important to make sure that your shipping settings are set in a way that's going to be profitable for you, because the number one way that people tend to lose money on web sales is through poor shipping settings. And just remember, just because you've seen it on someone else's site doesn't mean it's something that's working for them. You have to evaluate your own shipping settings for your showroom and figure out what is going to work for you so that your online transactions are still going to be profitable. Now on this page, notice you kind of have two shipping settings. This top one we're not going to talk about today, although it's very similar to the web shipping settings. This is basically for contractors and designers or walk-in customers that need shipping on their orders. The web shipping settings is where we're going to focus, because this is what's going to appear in the online shopping cart. So you have some defaults in here, and I would not stick with the defaults. Again, you want to evaluate your shipping and figure out what is going to be effective for your showroom. So just go over and delete any options that are not going to work for you, and then you can add in your own. The name and description are really just text fields, so they can say whatever you want. The example descriptions have time frames in them. You don't have to stick to that. You can really have it say whatever you want it to say. Now you can come over here and set the cost for the shipping. Notice you have a $ and a percentage. So the $ would be if you wanted to set a set dollar amount for shipping. So this, for example, would always be $20 for shipping. Over here, you have the percentage. So this would be 20% of the customer's cost going towards shipping. And then, of course, you could type in whatever number you wanted here. Now, if you do a percentage, I strongly recommend that you set a minimum shipping amount. And that is the lowest dollar amount that you would accept for shipping. So, for example, in this one right here, we have $5. What that means is when the customer places an order, if the shipping will always equal at least $5, and then once 20% of the cost is more than $5, it will go off of the percentage. And that's just to make sure that if the customer buys something inexpensive, you're still covered with shipping and you're not going to lose money. The free after here allows you to make shipping free after the customer spends a certain dollar amount. All you do is type in the amount that they have to spend, and then as soon as they have that amount in the shopping cart, shipping will register as free as long as they check out with at least that much. Now the minimum delay here is the least amount of time that they can expect to wait for their order. So here a lot of these say 7. That's going to tell the customer it's going to be at least 7 days before your item arrives, possibly more. If you don't want any sort of alert like that to show up, just set the days to 0. And don't forget to hit Save Changes before you leave the settings area. You can go through different tabs without having to hit that, but if you're actually going to leave settings, make sure you hit that Save Changes if you've done anything. Once you have this set up, you then want to go through and figure out who is going to receive the notifications when a web order comes in. So to do that, first you go over to Accounts. And you're going to go over here to your web orders, and we're going to set that up real quick. I'm just going to double click on it to open it, and then we'll hit Edit Account Information. On this page, if you scroll down to the bottom here, you have your assigned sales rep. Whoever that assigned sales rep is the person that's going to receive the email when that web order comes in. And the email it goes to is determined in the Users section. So I'm going to go over here to Users. Here are all of my salespeople and administrators, and of course this is a test site, so not all of these are real here, but you can see here's the one that we selected, and here's the email that it will go to. Now there are some users in here that don't have emails. I would change that if this were a real system here that we're using for a real showroom. And that's because no matter what type of user you are assigned various accounts in most cases, and you'll want to get the notifications for any changes on those. One thing that some people have done, because a lot of times people ask, can I get this email to go to more than one person? If you want to do that, what you need to do is set up an email group through your email, not through Exolites. So, for example, a lot of people will have email groups that say something like employees at, and then the name of their showroom.com. And if you set up the email group in your email, you can put that email group right here, and then it will send it to that email, and through your email it will send it to everyone in the group. Now, when that email comes in, and I actually have one pulled up for an order that I put in earlier, this is what it's going to look like. This is just an example here, and it's going to give you a couple of different ways that you can find this web order. So first of all, you've got the number here, and you also have this link. This link is pretty handy. I'm going to go ahead and just click on this so you can see. It takes you to the sign in page, and you just sign in. And once you do that, it's pulled up the order directly. So this is probably the easiest way to do that. The other thing that you can do is you can just grab this order number, and I'm just going to copy this and then come over here to the dashboard and hit look up an estimate and then paste in that order number. So this is another easy way to do it. And you can see it's pulled up that same order. Now, it doesn't matter which one you do. They both work just fine. The other one here is I can see who the customer is right here. And so I can go in to Accounts. I'm going to go Web Orders. And I'm going to hit Expand All. Now, of course, I could also find this customer underneath the Customer section. And then I can scroll through, and orders that have come in that have not been confirmed are going to be in red. And you can see there are a number of them in here. Again, because this is a test site and not all of these are real ones. Obviously, with yours, the ones that come in are going to be ones that either you have put into test or are real ones. And so it's a great idea to come into your web orders, maybe once a week, twice a week, or even once every other week, depending on how many you're getting, and hit Expand All, and then just kind of run through and check for anything that's red. Anything that's red is something that either you're still working on or something that may be in danger of slipping through the cracks. So this is a good way to make sure that you don't miss any web orders. I can also go in and find Jane Doe here, who is our customer. And I already confirmed this one, so it's black. So I'm going to actually pick a different one. So when you come into this screen, it's going to tell you how the order was processed. In other words, what payment option the customer used. If in the notes section it says this order was processed through, it's going to either have PayPal or Authorize.net in there. And that means that the payment has already been processed. All you do at that point is make sure the order is fulfilled, whether you have to order the items through the vendor or you've got it in stock and you're going to ship it from your warehouse. Either way, at that point, you get ready to fulfill the order. If this is one that's put in through the manual credit cards, you're not going to see anything in the notes section. In order to see the credit card information, you're going to have to come down here and hit Confirm Order. So when I hit Confirm Order, it's going to give me that pop-up, and then it's going to give me the option to print. Right now, I'm not going to print, but you can see down here, this button says Confirm Order. So this is what you're going to click, and you can choose whether or not you want to print when you do this. And then it's going to pull up the credit card information. And you'll take this information and you'll manually input it into your credit card machine and run that. So an important thing to note is when you hit Card Process Successfully here, it's going to clear out the credit card information. That's important because you don't want that credit card information lying around in your system. That becomes a liability. But if you get to the screen and you're not quite ready to clear it out, you can hit Cancel and it will go back to the order without confirming it. And then you'll be able to have that credit card information in there for a little longer. However, you do want to make sure you do click Card Process Successfully as soon as you're done with it. Again, that is a liability that you don't want to have lying around. And it'll give you another option to print. I'm not going to do that right now. And then down here you can see it will leave you the card type and the last 4 digits, and that's it. And everything else is gone. And if you've hit Card Process Successfully, we are not going to have that credit card information on file. Again, that's a liability for us, so we're not going to store that. So you do need to make sure that you have processed the card, that you are ready to go ahead and clear out that information before you hit Card Process Successfully. So that is how you would get the payment information if you're using the manual credit cards. Obviously with PayPal or Authorize.net, that happens automatically, and so you don't need to worry about that as much. So basically that is web orders there, from setting up your system to actually processing an order. If you have any questions, please feel free to reference our additional training resources or to contact client services at clientservices@exolites.com.